Hi there, I'm going to show you, this is Mrs. Rusnak, I'm going to show you the skill today, bedpan or fracture pan with output and hand washing. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sanitize my hands, rub that over all surfaces, let it dry, and then I'm going to go in and greet the resident. All right, knock knock. Hi Mrs. Peach, how are you? My name's Amy, I'm your STNA today. I'm going to go ahead and put you on the bedpan. How's that sound? I'm going to make sure that this is Mrs. Peach, and it is. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull the privacy curtain, and then I'm going to be putting her onto the bedpan, so that's difficult on my back, so I'm going to raise the bed. And before I do that, I'm going to pull up the safety rail. I'm going to actually come over here, pull up this safety rail for just a moment. Finish bringing the bed up. Okay, and then you want to gather your supplies. You're going to need gloves. You're going to need something to measure the urine in, a graduate. You're going to need either a bedpan or a fracture pan, and I'm going to show you that right now. You're also going to need a recording sheet, and you're going to need gloves, obviously, and then tissues. And then access to their bathroom, too.
Excuse me for this interruption. Lordstown, your bath is outside. Lordstown.
Okay, so as far as the supplies go, you have bed pans and you have fracture pans. Most of the time you're going to see bed pans used. These are in metal. A lot of times they're in plastic, so it depends on the facility. This is a fracture pan, so this gets placed this direction underneath the residence, but the handle goes towards the bottom of the bed. Bedpan, the wider part goes on the back side of the resident, and this opening faces the bottom of the bed. So this is actually, the fracture pan is for people that can't kind of raise their hips very much. You could slide it under them, maybe they've had hip replacement or something like that. So that's when you would use the fracture pan. Most of the time you're going to use the bedpan. All right. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is, they don't say this on the skill to put a chucks underneath them, but I would suggest that any time that you're dealing with urine, feces, anything like that, you're going to put a chucks pad underneath them, because you don't want to get that whole bed wet and change all the sheets. You only want to have to change that chucks pad if you do. There's already a chucks pad under this resident, and like I said, the skill does not say that you need to put a chucks pad under. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and lay this patient or this resident flat, because it's easier to turn them when they're flat. And by the way, the bedpan should not be set anywhere like near the tray table that they eat off of. This could be put on the bed, on a chair, or at the bedside table, but not on the tray table. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take this railing down. I'm going to try to keep them as covered as possible. If they can help me, I'm going to ask them to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and roll them over on their side. Okay, go ahead and roll over. This is Peach. Make sure that their face is not in the rail or anything like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and place this bedpan on the back of their butt. That's the best way to do it. And then I'm going to have them roll over on it, okay? Now, some residents, if they can bend their knees and just lift their butt up, that's even better, that you don't have to roll them, but most of the time you're going to have to roll them. This is quite uncomfortable. So now at this point, we're going to go ahead and put their head up. Okay, and I would check to make sure that they are correctly lined up on that bedpan, that they're not going to wet their bed. Okay, and then I would go ahead and lower the bed. Take their side rails down. I'm going to leave them with tissues, and I'm going to go ahead and leave their call light with them, and take this other side rail down, and then I'm going to just tell them, go ahead and take your time, and when you're finished, you can go ahead and call me. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and exit the room. Now, I want to keep in mind that if they don't call me for a while, I want to still go in and check on them, because it's uncomfortable to sit on a bedpan, and also they could get bed sores from that and that type of thing. So just keep that in the back of your mind, that you got to go check on that resident if they don't call you. We'll assume that the resident went ahead and called me. I'm gonna go ahead in. Okay, are you finished with urination? She's gonna tell me yes. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and put the bed up and put the safety rails up. And then put the head down because we're gonna roll her over to remove that bedpan. And I'm gonna ask the resident, did you wipe? And if they haven't wiped, then I would assist them in doing that at that point. We're gonna assume that this resident wiped. Take the tissues away. Okay. And now, if you do this for the state tester, they are going to, at some point in the skill, dump water into the bedpan to simulate urine. So I'm gonna go ahead, let's roll you over. When you roll them over, Lucy, you might wanna come over to this side. Okay, you want to make sure that you keep a hold of that bedpan, that it's down when you roll them over. Because if you don't, it'll go with them and all that urine will tip out and then you'll be changing bed sheets. You only make the mistake once or twice, then you'll learn. So when you roll them over, you wanna make sure you keep this down so it stays flat on the bed. Go ahead and get them covered back up, okay? And at this point, I would imagine that the state tester is going to dump simulated urine in there, okay? And then I'm gonna go ahead and lower their bed. Actually, I'm gonna leave their bed up for right now because I wanna wash their hands in a second. And then I'm gonna go ahead and dump this into some type of measuring device carefully, not to spill it. And usually we use graduates for that. I'm gonna come down to eye level, make a mental note of how much I have in there. So I have 225 milliliters of urine in there now, okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna actually lower their bed because I am going to go to the restroom to dump their urine out. And I don't wanna leave their bed raised. So we'll take the safety rails down. So we'll take the graduate and the bedpan and we'll go to their bathroom. Okay, and so depends on the facility. A lot of times this stuff is kept in the bathroom already. Some of the time it's kept in the bedside table. I'm gonna carefully dump the urine into the toilet and then I'm gonna wash, disinfect, and rinse all of my equipment. So I'm gonna wash it out, disinfect it, rinse it out, and then I'm gonna dry it. So all these items. And you can't just say this to the tester, you have to physically do it. So rinse it out. If you feel more comfortable dumping this into the toilet, it's probably better. Then I'm going to disinfect it. Rinse it out again. And then dry this out. I'm going to look around, just clean up any messes that I've left. I'm going to return this back to where it belongs, which in our case is going to be the side table. This actually will not fit in this side table. Let me put it over here in this side table. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have a towel and a washcloth to wash their hands. All right, let's go ahead and wash their hands. If they can do this themselves, that's great. If not, I'm going to wash them for them. And then dry them. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and take these linens and throw them in the linen hamper. Okay. once I've washed their hands, once I've washed all of the equipment and put it away, I can then remove my gloves. And then I'm gonna clean up any of the trash that's laying by. I'm gonna go ahead and open my privacy curtain. I'm gonna hand them their call light. Here's your call light, Mrs. Peach. If you need anything, you just give us a call, okay, Mrs. Peach? And then the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and record how much their output was. Remember, I made a mental note of that and write that on my recording sheet. And then it is at this point that I would then go to the hand washing video, because hand washing is part of this step. Okay, thank you. Oh, and just by the way, my measurement, it's a bold step. My measurement has to be within 25 milliliters of accuracy. So my measurement of urine was 225 milliliters. So I have to say it's within 250 to 225, or I could say up to 250 or down to 200 and still be within that accuracy. So it has to be within 25 milliliters. And I think that's it. Thank you.